Time skips are nothing new in media, fighting games included. Street Fighter was going through one around the same time as Tekken, and ironically, it was both their third entries. Well, it's more like Street Fighter's 10th or so, but I digress. Tekken 3 takes place 19 years after Tekken 2, but only took 3 years to develop, and it shows. Graphically, it improves on everything across the board. Models are much smoother than ever, and animate like butter. The 4-button system remains, but sidestepping has become universal across all characters. Moon jumps have been replaced with more realistic jumping that allows for light air comboing on top of a faster movement overall. There weren't multiple versions of 3 like 2, just the one arcade version and the home version, though they did have to slow the arcade version down to make it to be able to run on PS1's hardware. Not that you would notice otherwise. It's still plenty fast, and easily the fastest Tekken up to this point. The premise this time is that Heihachi has been using the Mishima Zaibatsu to run various enterprises across the globe. One such project involves a legend that he heard talking about a mysterious force that can grant him the power to rule the world. Last he heard, it was hiding somewhere in Central America. So, he sends his private army, the Tekken Force, to a temple somewhere in Mexico, where they fuck around and find out and awaken Ogre. Ogre then takes this opportunity to trash Heihachi's men and go around the world fighting strong martial artists to absorb their ki to strengthen himself. Whether or not the process kills its victims is unknown, which leads us to Jun. Jun is living peacefully with her son Jin, who is the product of a fling between her and Kazuya. She fucked this man right here. The fact that Kazuya's hateful ass has the capacity to be horny impresses me to this day. So, Ogre goes and attacks Jun, and Jin tries to fight him, but gets knocked out in the attempt. When Jin comes to, he sees that his whole home is destroyed, with Ogre and Jun nowhere to be seen. Jin then swears revenge on Ogre. He's just one of the many people that's been affected by Ogre's revival. This sets off a chain of events that leads us to the third King of Iron Fist tournament. Another tournament means another group of people stepping up to claim that prize. Just exactly who do we have competing this time?
Jin Kazama.
After Ogre's attack, he tracks down his grandfather, Heihachi, and asks him to train him so he can be strong enough to take revenge on Ogre for attacking his mother.
Julia Chan.
Michelle's adopted daughter. She studies archaeology to learn about her tribe's history. When their tribe starts hearing about Ogre's activities being connected to her pendant, Michelle goes to Heihachi for info. When she doesn't return, Julia enters the tournament to find her.
Lin Xiaoyu.
A distant relative of Wang Jinrei. She's a martial artist who loves amusement parks and hopes to build one someday. She learns about the resources of the Mishima Zaibatsu from Wang, and she meets Heihachi after beating up his bodyguards. He makes a deal with her that if she wins the tournament, he'll build her an amusement park.
Eddie Gordo.
The son of a wealthy Brazilian family. One day, Eddie comes home to find his father shot. Before he dies, he tells Eddie to confess to his murder so he would be safe in prison. While in prison, Eddie learns capoeira from an old man. When Eddie gets released from prison, he enters the tournament to get the Zaibatsu to help him get revenge.
Huarang.
Baek Dusan student. Warong enters the tournament to get revenge on Ogre for attacking his mentor. He also hopes to settle his rivalry with Jin.
Brian Fury.
A former police officer with ties to the Interpol division of the Hong Kong police. Lei discovered that Brian was connected to some drug dealers. Brian died in a shootout later, possibly by Lei. His body was taken to the lab of Dr. Abel, a rival of Dr. Boskanovich. Abel revives Brian with cybernetics and enters him into the tournament to target Yoshimitsu and to find data from Dr. Boskanovich.
Forrest Law.
Martial Law's son. He was trained by his father at an early age and has become a skilled fighter. However, Martial forbids him from entering any competition until Paul enters Law in the tournament with him, behind Martial's back.
King.
Once an orphan in the original King's orphanage, he becomes the successor to the original King after the first one is killed by Ogre. Armor King trains him for the third tournament.
Yoshimitsu.
Yoshimitsu learns that Dr. Boskanovich is infected with a mysterious disease. The doc theorizes that Ogre's blood may be able to save him, so he enters the tournament to take Ogre's blood. This game marks the beginning of Yoshimitsu's weird appearances. Namco still says he's human though, so... okay.
Nina Williams.
Nina's been in cryosleep for 15 years until she gets awakened by Ogre's powers. She plans to kill Jin due to Ogre's influence.
Kuma.
The son of the first Kuma who died of old age. He starts training to defeat Paul in the tournament. He has a crush on Xiao Yu's panda.
Lei Wulon.
Lei has been investigating the disappearing martial arts masters. One day, Heihachi tells him to enter the tournament to find out what happened, and he does.
Panda.
Xiao Yu's pet. She can fight too. She dislikes Kuma.
Mokujin.
A training dummy made from a really old oak tree. When Ogre awakened, so did Mokujin. His purpose seems to be to protect humanity from supernatural threats.
Anna Williams.
Nina's sister, who was awakened from cryosleep around the same time she did. She noticed that Anna's personality has changed and her memories of her had disappeared. She enters the tournament to bring back her sister's memories.
Gunjack.
Jane has worked in the past 15 years to bring Jack 2 back online after it got destroyed all those years ago. Now, with the new data she obtained from the Zaibatsu, Jack 2 is reborn as Gun Jack.
Paul Phoenix.
After being forced to forfeit the last tournament, Paul has been training vigorously ever since. He enters the tournament along with his best friend's son to finally take home the gold.
Heihachi Mishima.
The current head of the Zaibatsu. The Tekken Force was unable to subdue Ogre, so he plans to use Jin to draw Ogre out.
Ogre.
The god of fighting and the main reason all this shit is happening. There are a few other characters in the roster too, but I'm going to talk about those guys a bit later. Right now though, let's talk about those new game modes. All the modes from Tekken 2 return alongside 3 new ones. The first is Tekken Force mode. It's a beat 'em up where you fight against the Tekken Force. You go across 4 different stages that each end with a boss fight. The boss you fight depends on the character that you're playing, and it's usually someone that's related to that character in lore. You start off on some random back alley, then make your way to some desert area. Next, you're in a cavern, and finally you make your way to the Mishima Fortress where you fight Heihachi at the end. You must beat all 4 stages in one go, as once you get beaten, it's an automatic game over. It's not all bad though, as you have the best healing item ever made to keep you on your feet. Ah, man, I love that sound.
Chicken, chicken, chicken.
Once you beat Heihachi, you're awarded with a key and a prompt that says, What does this mean? It means you gotta get more keys, my dude. So, you play through Tekken Force mode 3 more times, twice more to get the other keys, and the last time is to beat the piss out of this old man. Oh! It's Dr. Boskanovich! Dr. B is now part of the main roster. He's a gimmick character to say the least, as he can't move around like a normal fighter, and when he does, it always has some weird properties attached to it. Anyway, by this time you probably unlocked the other new mode called Tekken Ball mode, which is a volleyball game where you punch and kick the ball either into your opponent's side of the field behind them or into your opponents themselves. Naturally, this will damage them, and the first player to score KO wins. There are 3 different balls you can use that have different properties, but it's not much deeper than that. It looks fun, so let's play a match. Who the fuck is Gon? Okay, so Gon is the first guest character ever put in a Tekken game. He's the protagonist of his own self-titled manga series where he's just trying to live life. I think you might be able to watch his CGI show on Hulu, but I'm not sure. Anyway, he's a problem for all the ways you would expect. He's a runt. Most attacks will miss him, and he has some decent pokes in range. The only thing that keeps him from being busted is the fact that his reach is abysmal. If you ever want to see a T-Rex throw hands, I got some bad news for you. And that's the modes. All that leaves now is just the tournament itself. Even though this is perhaps the most pivotal chapter in Tekken history, there isn't much to go on as who fought who. Lei and Brian may have crossed paths at some point. Mild spoilers, but this is the last time they're involved with each other. Anna and Nina are in a similar situation as Tekken 4 makes no mention of it. That and Anna isn't in Tekken 4. Xiaoyu doesn't win the tournament and thus gets no amusement park. Dr. Abel hears about Gun Jack being completed and decides to shoot another laser at him from his satellite. But this time, it fails. It is unsure how far Law makes it in the tournament. He doesn't win, so there's that. King is just kind of there too. He doesn't win, but we don't know where he places. Julia does rescue Michelle from the Tekken forces and they both return home. Eddie gets info about his father's murder and it turns out they had ties to Kazuya. Yoshimitsu didn't fight Ogre and he didn't get his blood. The doctor got better somehow, so I guess it was a total waste. Kuma lost to Paul just like his dad before him. Panda wants nothing to do with him. After Ogre's defeat, Mokujin became Darman again. Warong may or may not have fought Jin in the tournament. If he did, he probably lost. And now for the stuff we have info on. The finals. Paul makes it to the finals and defeats Ogre. He leaves the tournament thinking that he won. Unfortunately, Ogre had a second form and the tournament continued. Jin then crossed paths with True Ogre and the two battled until Jin won and destroyed Ogre. And then Heihachi pulled a Mishima on his grandson. And that's the end of Tekken 3. There's more endings than that, obviously, but most of them are either inconsequential or non-canon. Doesn't mean they aren't entertaining though. Mokujin, Gon, and Xiaoyu are some standouts, so they are the most cracked out of any of the endings yet. And this time you can easily view them all through this one new mode called Theater Mode. It even has a cool feature where if you put the disc in from the last two games, you can view those endings too, as well as the OSTs from both games. A nice bonus for fans of the series. You know what? Let's check out another ending. Wait... Tiger? Oh, I forgot a character. Well, it's not really a character per se. It's more of a palette swap for Eddie Gordo. His name is Tiger Jackson, and you can get it by clearing arcade mode a bunch of times. He's basically what Panda is to Kuma in this game, but unlike Panda, he gets his own ending.
Would you like some house music? Okay.
Nice. And that's the whole PS1 Tekken trilogy. The sheer improvements over the last two games is still impressive, even today. With the PS1 done, Namco has set his sights on the PS2 as fans eagerly awaited Tekken 4. However, what we got next was very different, and in some ways, a bit better.
The King of Iron Fist Tournament. Enter the Tekken. Chicken.